But I have money, see? It's not that. I just can't serve you at this counter. Why? I can't serve coloreds at this counter. You have to go to the other counter at the back of the store on the other side. You can get your orange soda there. I sat silently, staring at her, trying to understand what she meant. If there was another counter in the store that could serve me, then why couldn't this one? I knew I was colored, but I had money to spend, so what difference should it make? I could feel a lump developing in my chest, but I wasn't going to let that lady see me cry. I don't know what expression showed on my face, but she came over and leaned down on the counter, and she said quietly, "I'm truly sorry, honey. Now you run along and go get your orange soda." I slid down off the stool and made my way back down the aisle to my mother. "What's the matter?" she asked as soon as she looked at me. And as best I could, I tried to explain to her what had just happened. She put her arm around my shoulder and she said, "I'm sorry, honey. I should have warned you. Come on, let's go home." "But you didn't buy anything yet." "We don't need anything from this store," she said angrily. On the bus ride home, my mother had the conversation with me she probably should have had years earlier. She explained to me what segregation was and why that woman wouldn't serve me because of the color of my skin. "But that's stupid," I said. "Yes, it is," she replied. "But you mustn't let other people's stupidity keep you from having the things that you want. It might be a little harder and take a little longer, but you can have whatever you're willing to work for." Now, this was the first really grown-up conversation my mother had had with me, so I didn't even realize until she signaled it was time to get off that we had taken a different bus. We got off at the supermarket, and my mother did grand-scale shopping. And among the things she bought was a large bottle of orange soda and a quart of vanilla ice cream. And we even took a taxi cab home so that ice cream wouldn't melt. And that evening for dinner, Mama fixed a lot of the things I really liked. Macaroni and cheese, steamed spinach. I was one of those kids who loved spinach. Pan-browned pork chops simmered in a brown gravy, and cornbread. Oh, it was wonderful. Then after dinner, she shooed my father and my little brother and me into the living room promising dessert. Well, we never had dessert on Saturdays. That was always reserved for Sundays and holidays. But after a few minutes' wait, she came into the room with a tray, which she set down on the coffee table. And on the tray were 3 tall iced tea glasses and a little glass for my little brother. And they were filled to the brim with orange soda and big globs of vanilla ice cream. And into each glass, she had stuck 2 drinking straws and a long-handled spoon, just like at a soda fountain. They were beautiful. And as I raised my glass and took my first sip of that smooth, cool sweetness, I looked across the table at my mother's smiling face, and I never loved her more than I did at that very moment. And I remembered her words from that bus. It might be a little harder and take a little longer, but you can have whatever you're willing to work for. And I remembered that lesson from that day until now. But I've also remembered the real world lesson I learned at that 5 and dime.
Uh-oh.
In the water. In the...
Eggs and ham. I do not like green eggs and ham.
Special Dr. Seuss birthday treat, Paul Rogers will read And to think I saw it on Mulberry Street, which is Dr. Seuss's first book, published in 1937. When I leave home to walk to school, Dad always says to me, "Marco, keep your eyelids up and see what you can see." But when I tell him where I've been and what I think I've seen, he looks at me and sternly says, "Your eyesight's much too keen. Stop telling such outlandish tales, stop turning minnows into whales. Now what can I say when I get home today?" All the long way to school and all the way back, I've looked and I've kept careful track. But all that I've noticed, except my own feet, was a horse and a wagon on Mulberry Street. That's nothing to tell. That's nothing to tell of. That won't do, of course. Just a broken down wagon that's drawn by a horse. That can't be my story. That's only a start. I'll say that a zebra was pulling that cart. And that is a story that no one can beat when I say I saw it on Mulberry Street. Yes, the zebra is fine, but I think it's a shame. Such a marvelous beast with a cart that's so tame. The story would really be better to hear if the driver I saw were a charioteer. A golden blue chariot's nothing to meet. A golden blue chariot's something to meet, rumbling like thunder down Mulberry Street. No, it won't do at all. A zebra's too small. A reindeer is better. He's fast and he's fleet. And he'd look mighty smart on old Mulberry Street. Hold on a minute, there's something wrong. A reindeer hates the way it feels to pull a thing that runs on wheels. He'd be much happier instead if he could pull a fancy sled. A reindeer and a sled. Say everyone could think of that. Jack or Fred or Joe or Nat. Say even Jane could think of that. But it isn't too late to make one little change. A sleigh and an elephant, that's something strange. I'll pick one with plenty of power and size, a blue one with plenty of fun in his eyes, and then just to give him a little more tone, have a Raja with rubies perched high on a throne. Say that makes a story that no one can beat when I say I saw it on Mulberry Street. But now I don't know, it still doesn't seem right. An elephant pulling a thing that's so light would whip it around in the air like a kite, but he'd look simply grand with a great big brass band. A band that's so good should have someone to hear it, but it's going so fast that it's hard to keep near it. I'd put on a trailer, I know they won't mind, if a man sits and listens, while hitched on behind. But now is that fair? Is it fair what I've done? I'll bet those wagons weigh more than a ton. That's really too heavy, a load for one beast. I'll give him some helpers. He needs two, at least. But now, what worries me is this. Mulberry Street runs into bliss. Unless there's something I can fix up, there'll be an awful traffic mix-up. It takes police to do the trick, to guide them through where traffic's thick. It takes police to do the trick. They'll never crash now, they'll race at top speed, with Sergeant Mulvaney himself in the lead. The mayor is there, and he thinks it is grand, and he raises his hat as they dash by the stand. The mayor is there, and the aldermen too, all waving big banners of red, white, and blue. And that is the story that no one can beat when I say I saw it on Mulberry Street. With the roar of its motor, an airplane appears and dumps out confetti while everyone cheers. And that makes a story that's really not bad, but it still could be better. Suppose that I add Chinese man who eats with sticks, a big magician doing tricks, a 10-foot beard that needs a comb. No time for more, I'm almost home. I swung around the corner and dashed through the gate. I ran up the steps and I felt simply great. For I had a story that no one could beat, and to think I saw it all on Mulberry Street. But Dad said calmly, "Just draw up your stool. Tell me the sights on the way home from school." There was so much to tell, I just couldn't begin. Dad looked at me sharply, pulled at his thin chin. He frowned at me sternly from there in his seat. Was there nothing to look at? No people to greet? Did nothing excite you or make your heart beat? Nothing, I said, growing red as a beet, but a plain horse and wagon on Mulberry Street.
So we found these